Hello internets, I'm Zells, the channel is Zellspeak, and thanks for watching. This is my ESO group dungeon quest and lore series, and we are back in the Hagfin area of Glenumber for Spindleclutch 2. So it's dark outside, but you and I can't sleep. A burning question keeps us up. A question that eats away at our little completist brains until we find ourselves coming back in the middle of the night, haunting the moors like wraiths, howling the question at the distant moons. What was behind the locked door at the end of Spindleclutch 1? Bereft of answers, we've no choice but to fling ourselves to our doom. Hey. Or if we want answers, we could try heading back into Spindleclutch and taking another look around. Let's give that a try. And as it turns out, we are not the only ones looking for answers. There is our old friend Guardian Sudhamrim. He may need some help.
I remember you. You helped us on our last visit to this evil place. Oh, thank the divines you returned. I need your help. It's my son.
Did you look by the broken bridge?
My friends and I have been using these caves as a makeshift base. I thought we were safe here. I'd left to check in with superiors in the Fighters Guild. I returned to find the caves overrun with bandits, and my friends missing.
Your friends and your son.
My son Atavar was one of those I left here. My friends Falor and Meridia can take care of themselves, but Atavar is still young. I have to make sure he's all right, and I cannot make it through these bandits on my own. Please, will you help me?
I'll do what I can. But I've got some pretty big questions I'd like to ask.
If anything has happened to Atavar...
So wasn't everything taken care of?
The Whisperer was dead. The guild pulled out because the ruins hold no tactical value. Most of us would like to forget everything that happened here. We lost a lot of good people.
Hey, I did what I could.
And we are grateful. Without you, none of us would have survived. Now it seems I'll be in your debt twice over.
Hold on, I still have questions.
If anything has happened to Atavar...
But why are you here?
My friends and I are monster hunters. We specialize in killing unnatural creatures. Werewolves, Daedra, and so on. We prefer operating in out-of-the-way locations. Spindleclutch is close to Daggerfall, while offering us the privacy we need.
Aha, the cultists needed privacy. Okay, I get it. In fact, that reminds me of a Thieves Guild loading screen I just saw. And to be fair, how far would you have to walk to find a cave that hadn't been infested by Daedra at some point?
For the Masters! Light it up!
For the Masters, she said when she attacked us. Back in Spindleclutch 1, when we rescued Guardian Sudhamrim at the end, he said that he had no idea how the Whisperer got there or why. And why is a question that the Whisperer itself brings up in its third creepy poem. Jeeves, cue the creepy poem. In one of the chambers ahead of us here in Spindleclutch 2, there is a book entitled Where Magical Paths Meet. The book's author says that conjuration is the only magic you need because any problem that you have can be solved by summoning the right Daedra to do your bidding. That is the why of why the Whisperer is here. It was summoned to solve a problem for someone, to do a job. When we were here in Spindleclutch 1 before, we were fighting corrupted members of the Fighters Guild because the Whisperer had corrupted them. Now we're fighting thralled bandits. Thralls are vampire slaves, so as soon as we see thralled anything, we know that there are vampires here. So it was the vampires who summoned the Whisperer before. She was filling the cave with warm, compliant bodies who would both fight to defend them and act as a food source. When we destroyed her, the vampires restocked their larder with bandits that they pulled in from the Ayleid ruins above. So it appeared that first there was a Daedra problem, now there's some kind of other problem, but in fact both of the problems were always vampire problems. Either way, Meridia cultist would want to be involved in that, because Meridia would want to be involved in that. In the previous video for Spindleclutch 1, I gave away the ending to the Fighters Guild questline and pointed out how very involved Meridia seems to be in the story, and in the Fighters Guild in general. I'm going to continue that line of thought further here, and point out that Meridia's always been invested in Tamriel and Nirn. She's been a significant presence in the solo games for a long time, and always on the side of protecting mortals. And of course, in ESO's main quest, she is the one who shows up and does that thing she does, and then in Somerset, she shows up and does that other thing. And NPCs that we know who don't like Daedra worship will make exceptions for Meridia cultists, like for instance Razamdar, who has Meridia cultists as contacts. We began Spindleclutch 1 with the definition of Edra and Daedra. Let's revisit that. In the Dawn era, Lorcan convinced the spirits to create Nirn, but it was the powerful spirit Magnus who was the actual architect of Mundus. At first the world was unstable. The power of the spirits warped and stretched it. Magnus became concerned that it would fail and end all existence. He also realized that some smaller spirits were growing weaker as they put their power into Mundus, or they were disappearing altogether. So he decided to end the experiment. The spirits convened to decide what to do. The 8 Aedra stayed. Magnus left, and shortly after he did, so did the rest, the Daedra. But it isn't quite straightforward.
Ugh! How divines that hurt.
Over there, it's Maril!
Sudarim, I thought you were dead. They came in the night, overwhelmed us.
Who did this? Where's Atavar?
I don't know. Atavar and Falor ran further in when we were attacked.
Atavar! Where are you?
Holy divines! Look at the size of that thing.
First the Blood Fiend, now a gargoyle. That settles it. Vampires.
Vampires? You think they know what they're dealing with?
If not, they're in for a painful lesson.
What is it? You want me to stab something?
So what do you think about Sudarim?
What's to say? He's a good leader, a good soldier, and a protective father. More than that, he'd have to tell you.
Magnus left, but he went to Aetherius, not Oblivion, and he is considered by some cultures to be one of the Divines, an Aedra. The Altmer worship him as the god of magic. Some speculate that he was destroyed when he tried to leave, and the remains of his essence that permeate the world is the force we call magic. At the very least, his departure created the primary portal through which magic enters Mundus. Let me explain that. Around Mundus is a skin, a membrane, that separates it from Oblivion. When the Daedra left, they tore holes in that membrane as they escaped. When you stand on Nirn and look up at the night sky, the stars that you see are actually those holes left from the fleeing Daedra. Of all the spirits who fled Mundus, Magnus was by far the largest and most powerful, and he left a tremendous hole in the membrane. We perceive that huge hole in the skin of the sky to be the sun, which is why some cultures also worship Magnus as the god of the sun. Whatever his eventual fate, Magnus is an Anuic force, that is, of Anu, and therefore of order, and therefore an Aedra. By contrast, the Daedra are Padomaic, or of Padome, and therefore of chaos. But Magnus wasn't the only Anuic spirit who fled Mundus to go to Aetherius. A cadre of beings fled with him, the Magnigae. I am almost certainly mispronouncing again, but here is where I finally bring this home. One of those Anuic spirits of light and order who fled with Magnus was Meridia.
Sudarim, you've escaped.
Yes, Braxton. The Whisperer is gone.
No, you can't be real. I was going to rescue you, and then I heard her voice.
It's over, Braxton. You can rest now.
Boss, I don't think he's listening.
You aren't real. You're one of her illusions. I won't let you stop us.
Why is nothing ever easy?
Join my nightmare.
You cheated at cards, but you didn't deserve this. Did you hear that? There's someone alive over here. Help me get this cocoon open. Valor, can you hear me?
Boss? They have Atavar. Their leader took him further in the ruins. Nasty-looking bloodsucker.
I don't care how nasty their leader is. We're smashing in every vampire head we see until I get my son back. You in?
How can I say no to a plan like that? Point me at what you'd like slain.
So you know all about vampires.
Yup.
Any pointers?
Kill them first.
Not much to say, huh?
Nope.
Yeah, to be fair, I was super rude to you last time. While the rest of her spirit family, quote-unquote, went to Aetherius, Meridia stayed in Oblivion. The Khajiit book, The Adversarial Spirits, says that she consorted with Daedra and so became one. They also say she attacked the lunar lattice and was driven back by Azura, but they don't say why. And then there's this about Meridia. A book written by Phrastus of Elenir. Phrastus is the character played by Lawrence Schick, the lore master of the Elder Scrolls. The reason the stars sparkle blue is because you're looking through Oblivion to see Aetherius beyond, and Aetherius is an infinite sea of raw magic. You know that color. It's the bright pale blue of Welkin stones. Sunlight, though. Sunlight is warm and golden and healing, but hurts you if you disrespect it. It's a bane to certain kinds of undead, and it fractures into colors when it hits certain kinds of glass. Okay, pop quiz time. Who does that sound like? Phrastus described Meridia bending Magnus's light and being a drag lens. Alright, so here's where I start speculating. I'm seeing her as a sort of a stained glass window on the outside of the membrane around Mundus, filtering that ethereal light and energy as it hits Nirn. Certainly matches the title Lady of Infinite Energies. And for the record, Meridia, mistress of the Colored Rooms and progenitor of Dawnbreaker, is not one of the Daedric princes bound by the Cold Harbor Compact, which means she can meddle as directly in mortal affairs as Akatosh's wards allow her to. Which is a lot, apparently. One of the things that I love about Elder Scrolls lore is all the cracks and spaces in canon where fan speculation can thrive. I'm going to choose to believe that Meridia, the Magnus Gay, stayed in Oblivion and became Meridia, the Daedric Prince, on purpose because it was part of Magnus's plan. Once Magnus left, Mundus solidified, and the Edra became fully bound to it, limited in power, and to a certain extent, defenseless. So Meridia stayed to guard them against Daedric incursion, is what I decided. I'll be proven wrong in probably 10 books that I read from now, but it's what I'm going with at this point. Regardless of the exact why, Meridia is strongly associated with sunlight and Magnus, and with Anu. And that's true in a metaphysical sense as well as a material one. The spirits are concepts like allegories. The flow of sunlight and darkness is the strongest pattern in mortal lives, and the most basic objective measure of time. Morning or noon, day or night, the season, anniversaries, lifetimes, we track all of that with the sun. That makes Meridia a natural ally, or at least not an enemy of, Arche, god of cycles, and a natural enemy to undead and the Daedra who spawn them, like Molag Bal. It also puts her in the same corner as Akatosh, dragon god of time. As to that line in the exegesis of Meridia about compressing the dragon on one end and expanding it on the other, that's the nature of light and time. Or let me put it this way. Have you read the flavor text on your experience point scroll lately? a priestess of Meridia for whom time is relative. Just a little humor from Physics 101. So we started this with a very straightforward definition of Aedra and Daedra. In Elder Scrolls lore, if something seems straightforward, it's probably because you haven't found the journal under the floorboards that turns it all upside down. In this case, it's the Magna Gay, or Magna Gee maybe? Meridia and Magnus, who throw a monkey wrench into the definitions. Particularly Magnus, who clearly left, but is also considered an Aedra. And of course there are other creation stories, probably as many as there are people on Nirn. One says that Anu, order, and Padme, chaos, were brothers who fought, and when Padme bled, the Daedra were born, and Anu's blood became the stars. The mingled blood of both became the Aedra, which is why they can be both good and evil, and their greater affinity for mortals than Daedra, who have no connection to creation. Anyway, to sum up, back in the Dawn era thousands of years ago, some stuff happened one way or another, and now here we are in a cave with Daedra cultists who love to kill vampires and talk about how they're Daedra hunters. Life is complicated sometimes, but you don't need me to tell you that. More to the point, we have fought our way through an awful lot of dungeon and we have not found a trace of Adavar. But on the upside, we're going to get to see what's behind this door.
The Master commands your death.
Man, I can hardly wait to meet this master guy. This dude's name is Veleth. I hope that he is not from some misspelled branch of the Prophet Veloth's line. Alright, Howie, let's see what's behind door number 2!
Atavar! Where are you?
I don't like this.
Atavar? Wake up. Wake up.
Have to agree with the elf boss. There's some serious magic here. This place screams ambush.
Ambush. Lovely idea. Still alive, are we? Come. Spigots of your throats.
I will make a spigot of your throat. Now that is some quality trash talk. Now then, there are 2 endings to this quest, and I like vampires about as well as the next Meridia groupie, so let's go with that option first.
This wasn't supposed to happen. We were supposed to save Adavar at the last moment.
I should have done more to fight the vampires. I'll make it up to Sudarim someday.
Why isn't he breathing? Oh gods, we're too late.
Like, too late for a healing potion?
I mean too late. He's been infected too long. I've seen it before. Soon he'll be one of them. A vampire. I have to stop this. I have to stop him from coming back. Don't I?
Dude, your son is dead. That's a vampire.
You're right. It has to be done. It has to. Farewell, my son. Tell your mother I'm sorry.
And now for the hopeful ending.
I have to stop this. I have to stop him from coming back. Don't I?
Don't stop believing. The sun will come out tomorrow.
Is there You don't just recover from vampirism. Gods, what am I talking about? He's my son. I have to try. I'm not ready to lose him. Merciful Stendar, hear my prayer. I've never prayed to the divines before, even when my wife. Even when you took my wife, I accepted it as fate. But Atavar, how can I accept that? If anyone deserves your mercy, it is Atavar. Please, Stendar, free him from this curse. Bring me back my son.
Alright, so Meridia may not approve of undead, but I wanted to end on a hopeful note, so here we go. What happens is, the second that we walk out of this room, Verandis Ravenwatch bursts in.
Thank you for freeing us. You can't imagine the things we've seen.
And he has in his hand whatever he needs to be able to give you the happy ending that you would like to see here. Maybe it's a miracle cure. Maybe in the future there's going to be Atavar Fëanorian fanfic. I don't judge. Well, if your version of a happy ending is LeMay showing up, killing everybody, and taking Atavar as her consort, I'll be a little judgy about that, I'm not going to lie. So as before, the sets in the dungeon are Nightmare, Spelunker, and Prayer Shawl, heavy, medium, and light respectively. And we have a new mounted head to add to our wall, that is Blood Spawn, to go with our Swarm Mother. As always, the mounted heads are from the normal dungeon, and the busts are from the vet dungeon. And that is a wrap on Spindleclutch 2. If you had a good time, please click the like button, and if you're not a subscriber, please click the subscribe button. For our next set of videos, we'll be going to Stonefalls, the Zone 1 of Ebonheart Pact, for Fungal Grotto 1 and 2. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Zells, the channel is Zellspeak, and until next time, may all your loots be leet.